Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome to Silver Tent TV. I'm your host, Siobhan A Riordan, and together with my dog Elsa, who, as we know, can occasionally join in. We're here to talk to one of the amazing women of the Silver Tent. So it's a real pleasure to welcome you, Rosie Christopherson.
Thanks, Siobhan. I'm really happy to be here.
So the Silver Tent, for those of you that don't know, is a global online community for women over 50. It's a place where women can come to be nurtured, to be supported, to realise those dreams that they have yet to realise. And it's also a place that's a platform for women's wisdom and a platform to share that wisdom out there in the world. And Rosie is one of our amazing sisters. She's a novelist. She is a tarot reading extraordinaire. She has an amazing story to tell. We'll hear a bit more about that. And I think I'm going to begin, Rosie, with the novel, Bonne, Chance and Butterflies. Would you tell us a little bit about that story, where it came from?
Sure. Bonne, Chance and Butterflies was born because I was trying to find a way initially to bring more people to Montmorillon, the little town where the story's set. And there's so many wonderful people that live here already. I thought I could use those characters so it would be fiction, but built around a real place. And then as I started to write, I realised that there was a lot more of my own story that wanted to come out. So it turned out completely different to what I thought. And it's about a 40-year-old woman's journey from Melbourne in Australia to follow her dreams and come to Europe. And it has a little twist of tarot in there because it's something that's so much a part of my life.
Because you do have an extraordinary story. So first of all, with Hugh, your partner of the last 14 years, but actually friends for 35 years,
Yep.
Having met in Oz. And at 51, something happened in your life. Do you want to just say a little bit that kind of took you in a whole new direction?
Yeah, I was working in human relations and payroll for a big global company. And I'd been getting sicker and sicker, and I was anemic and having horrible trouble with my periods. And one day I just hemorrhaged at work while I was doing the payroll. I had to keep going because it was a global, worldwide connection. And I just got myself home somehow, and we went to the hospital, and I ended up having a hysterectomy. And I really felt that was, in tarot, there's many cards that sometimes give us a little calling to say that there's something, we're on the wrong path. And I felt that that's what was happening for me. And I just couldn't go back to that life. And my partner, Hugh, fortunately felt the same way. And we just decided we would find a way that we could do things differently and completely change our lives. We weren't really sure at that point what that would be.
Well, because what it turned out to be is fascinating in its own right. So what happened and where did you end up?
Well, 3 years before that, we'd been travelling a very short time for 3 weeks in Vietnam. We met an amazing young couple from Scotland, and we got talking to them. We kept running into them, so I felt like they were there to give me a message. And they were travelling for a year. And we were travelling for 3 weeks. So I was really thinking, wow, how could we afford to travel for a year? How do you do it? So we stayed in contact with them for 3 years, just by email. And they gave me a few little tips about how we might possibly be able to do that in an affordable way. And that's how our journey started. We decided that we wanted to go away for a year, not 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And part of that challenge was going to be to travel with only carry-on luggage. So we could only have 7 kilos of luggage, and we had to follow the sun and do it in a very cheap way. So being away in many different countries gave us the possibility to be able to return to Vietnam and to run a guest house.
I love that. And you ended up running the guest house for 3 years, didn't you?
We did. It was an amazing opportunity. We had met some people prior that owned a little piece of land and they wanted to develop it, but they weren't interested in hospitality at all. And we had been thinking we would return to Australia and go up to the north and try and run a little B&B or something, that would be a way we could support ourselves in a sustainable way. And this opportunity came up and we thought, oh, how hard can it be? Well, we didn't speak the language. We didn't know anything about Vietnamese culture really, other than we visited 3 times. And we said, yeah, we'll do it. We thought, well, it's too good an opportunity to pass up. And that just saw us 6 months later arriving in this tiny little fishing village called Bai Zep in Quy Nhon, central Vietnam. Oh, it just gives me a little heart flutter.
Yeah.
Because I just remember it's pretty rare that you offer to start a business when you've not even seen the village. It was pretty silly really, but yeah, walking into that village, we just knew it was where we had to be.
And what I love about your story is the courage that took, and that real, it's a bit like Kelly Klein, isn't it? Another member of the Silver Tent that we've done videos with, that it's about that trusting of yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, we trusted that we had the ability. I mean, I knew I loved being with people. Hugh is fantastic with DIY skills, and we just thought, look, we can make this happen. And we wanted to welcome people from all around the world, and especially single females, people travelling on their own that might feel a little bit unsure about coming to Vietnam. So that was sort of where our niche, I guess. We'd been in India for 6 months as well before that, and I'd studied reflexology and Reiki. And I had this wonderful idea that I was going to do massage, and people were going to come, and I just wanted them to feel better when they left. Of course, none of that happened because we were too busy just trying to get through rainy seasons and survive and learn the language. But I did do tarot sessions for people that needed that.
And I love that. And I kind of want to take us back. So the 3 years then led to you moving to France.
Yeah. We, unfortunately, the property where we were running the guest house, the Vietnamese owner had decided that she wanted to sell. And we thought it would take a long time, but somebody saw it as a very attractive proposition. It was right on the beach. The guest house had a very good following, and it sold 4 weeks later. And we just thought, oh my goodness, what are we going to do now? And we'd had quite a lot of guests coming from the UK and France and Italy, and they talked about how it was possible to buy small little cheap places in the south of France. And it wasn't a possibility we'd ever considered. And so we started to look into it, and I Googled stone cottages in France, and a little cottage popped up. And we tagged 3 days to France on the end of a trip to Wales to visit Hugh's family. And somehow we came to Montmorillon. We'd never heard of it, and it's the city of writers. It just felt like it was calling me. And because I'd always wanted to write, I just felt like I was meant to be here. So the lady showing us around only had one tiny little house. It was not really what we were looking for, but I felt like it was speaking to us. And so here we are 5 years later.
Again, and it's another theme that we often have in the tent, especially as women are moving into the autumn or the winter of their lives, is that trusting yourself, and that you can deal with whatever life throws at you, and also following your heart. And there's you're another beautiful example of that, and having the courage to do that.
Yeah, it just being open to every day the possibilities that come along and thinking, well, maybe this has happened for a reason and I need to at least give it a chance.
And of course, we kind of now we're bringing us up to the present day. Word got out about what an incredible tarot reader you are, tarot consultant you are, and with the joys of technology, we are now in a position that you can offer a service globally. So let's explore that a bit. I wanted to, so I know tarot has been a really important part of your life. Let's imagine the uninitiated who doesn't know tarot. What is tarot, and what does it symbolise?
For me, tarot is a pathway. So tarot actually, in a nutshell, tarot means, it's an old Hebrew word that means pathway.
Right.
So for me, it's always just been about, there's so many different pathways we can take in our world to get to where we're meant to be on our karmic path. And a lot of the time they become buried with the everyday problems that we have, and it's hard to take the time to sit and just slowly listen to what is really in our heart. So for me, tarot is a way that brings that out. So people say, how does it work? I don't know. How do we connect? All I know is that the trust that I have in it, and my angels, I say, that I have around me, guide me, and it always uncovers unbelievable things. Most of them, I think, are already there in people's hearts, but we forget to listen to our little inner child. We're too busy being grown-ups, I guess.
And the symbols of the tarot cards, so there's that real symbolism, isn't there? And there's that ancient connection. Most of us are exposed to the playing cards, to the hearts, the diamonds, that's our first introduction, isn't it? But those cards come from a really ancient tradition, don't they? And the symbolism of each card is where, for me, there's that universal understanding about a particular part of each pathway.
I think it's our spiritual, the tarot is in two parts, as you say. The first part is called the Major Arcana, which is the spiritual journey that we all take through our life to reach nirvana, enlightenment. And I believe that many of us have many lives to learn those lessons. So that is a part of the tarot, and which is also quite following the Jewish Kabbalah. There's many ancient wisdoms tied in around there. And as you say, the four suits are represented by the earth elements: air, fire, wind and water. So it's they are also connected to numerology, astrology, and the symbology is just so important as well. So a lot of it is about how the cards feel for you. I don't want people to think that they have to go and study for years to have a love of the tarot or to be able to understand it. It's just about really, we just sit down and we have a good old chat and we look at what comes out, and it's just amazing what opens up for people.
And that's my thought. You don't even have to believe in the tarot. I find I'm one of the many that have had the pleasure and the amazing experience of having a reading from you. And you don't, as I say, you don't even need to believe in it, because the reading in itself is something I think that you bring partly from yourself and partly from the cards. It really helps you reflect on your life and where you're at this moment in life. So let's imagine I'm someone that wants to come and get a reading from you. Tell me what would happen? What am I going to experience when I come to you?
Well, usually if I was having a tarot session with you in my home, I would, make you a cup of tea and sit down and you feel nice and relaxed. And I would give you the cards to shuffle, and we start with a very general reading that helps me know a little bit about what's going on around you. And from there, we talk about all the things that the tarot brings to us, and we decide, or you decide, something that you would like to discover a little bit more. We explore those things together. Every reading is different. It really just depends what comes out. And the more that the more the person I'm having the session with puts in, the more that usually comes out. It's a balance about giving and receiving, just as so many things in life are. And to be honest, at the start of every reading, I just think, oh, I wonder what's going to come from this. And I just say a little heartfelt thing for myself. And it's always, I just give myself up to it and have a lovely connection with the people. And it's wonderful getting to know a little bit more about people. And then we get to the end, and it's almost like we've both had an out-of-body experience. And I just feel, I know when I go away and I can feel my heart buzzing that we've had an amazing connection. And
the thing I love about the technology, because your readings are incredibly rich, and there's a lot of information there about where you've been, where you are, and where you're going to in terms of your path in life. And one of the joys of the technology is that you can record it. And I know I've listened back to my session several times. And each time I listen back to it, I get a whole new another layer of understanding. Yeah. And the overwhelming message that I got from our reading is you're on the right path, and you're doing what you need to be doing at this moment in your life. And a couple of times, you know, when life comes along and knocks you and you think, oh my God, what am I doing? Is this the right thing? I flicked the recording on just to remind myself, yes, absolutely, this is what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
So, Rosie, if people want to get a reading of you, I'll put something in the information about this interview. They're going to contact you through Facebook.
Yeah. What I was, I'm intending to put a little paragraph in our silver marquee.
Brilliant.
You know. A little bit of information will be there, and if people are happy to, they can Facebook message me, and then from there, I only do 2 or 3 readings a week because I really put a lot of energy into them, and it's just important for me that that's how it is. It's not some big sort of mass-produced thing. It's there. Each reading is very important to me. So what I do is, just as people contact me, I have a little list, and then as time goes along, I contact, as their name comes a little bit closer, I contact, and we make a convenient time to connect. It's done on the Zoom platform that we're using in the Silver Tent. And so if you don't already have that, you just download Zoom, and 30 minutes prior to our session together, I let you know the Zoom ID, and we go from there, and you can record it. And I also send photographs at the end of each session so that you can look closely at the cards. And I just ask for people to be patient and apologise that sometimes it could take 3 or 4 weeks until I can contact you.
Yeah, and you know, that's again about the quality of what you do, is that you have to queue up. You are a woman in demand, because I know so many people that have had the pleasure and the joy of a reading with you. You know, I've heard people talk about it's changed their life, and it's made them review their life and review the path that they're on, and some have even, you know, chosen a new path. You know, very much if we kind of bring it back to, you know, you and what happened to you when you were 51, and this incredible new path that you had the courage to take with you, and look at all of the adventures. And even, you know, a book's come out of it as well. I love it. So I'll also put up a link. I really recommend that you get the book. It's a beautiful story, and it's lovely to see the tarot woven through it. But Rosie, it's been a joy talking with you today. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks, Siobhan. I really love it, and I just say thank you to everybody in the tent and in Synergy. It's being able to make these amazing heartfelt connections with people. It's just changed my life. And it's a privilege to share other people's journeys. So I look forward to hearing from everybody.
And we're really blessed to have you in the tent, Rosie. So thank you. On behalf of Elsa and I, Elsa kept quiet, but somebody was persistent in trying to reach me. So I hope it wasn't too disruptive. Been a pleasure being with you today. Wherever you are in the world, if the sun isn't shining in your skies, may it shine in your heart. This is Siobhan signing off. Bye-bye.